like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching.
I stumbled on this photograph. It kind of made me laugh. It took me way back down memory lane.
Everybody has their own interpretation of what balance is. And I was just thinking about this the other day, just looking back at my life and the different philosophies that I've encountered and listened to and embodied, embraced. And I think out of all of those, the thing that sticks out the most to me, or that I have found to be the most solid, is the concept of balance. And Randy said, acceptance equals balance. I like that. I like that because that's kind of something similar that I came to the realization of, that yeah, when you understand balance, it's like you understand everything. And not only do you understand everything, but you understand that everything has a place. And so with that, it is some sort of like acceptance. Like you accept that things exist. You accept that there's darkness and that there's light, right? And so a lot of people don't like the idea of balance because they think that balance is like limited, right? Or maybe you ask like a business person, they'll be like, fuck balance. Fuck that, you need to go hard, and you know, work-life balance is bullshit. They'll say like, hey, all these other things is bullshit. Like you just need to go super hard sometimes. And I don't see that as being against the concept of balance. I see that being nested within the concept of balance, because even those individuals that go super hard in one thing eventually have to come and fill the other buckets of their life. Like you can only apply that level of intensity in one area of your life for so long until you realize that you burn out. And then that's when the millionaires all of a sudden become conscious, right? And they want to be eating health foods, and they're eating organic, and they're trying to meditate because they maxed out that other aspect of their life. And now they're trying to find some resemblance of balance, but then they tell people like, no, fuck that, you just need to go hard because that's what I did. But it's like, no, you're actually balancing yourself out, because you're just now pendulum swinging to the other side of like, oh, these things are important too. But what if you never did that? What if you just started with the philosophy and the lifestyle that was conscious of all the different areas of your life, right? And you poured yourself into every bucket.
Hey guys, if you're here with me at the premiere, welcome, welcome. How are you today? Do me a quick favor. If you haven't already, smash the heck out of that like button for me one time. If you're catching this on the replay gang gang, y'all know I rocks with the replay gang gang.
All the different areas of your life, right? And you poured yourself into every bucket. I think that that's the harder thing to do, because it's much easier to focus on a single thing, right? Like, I'm gonna be the most fucking elite athlete, right? And so that's all you got to focus on. You're going to disregard family, you're going to disregard finances, you're going to disregard your spiritual health, your mental health, all these things, because you're just going to focus on a singular goal. But to be balanced means that you got to pour and fill into every area of your life. How can you be accountable and in good relationship with all parts of your life? This is now a more challenging approach, because that requires you to be conscious of multiple areas of your life. How are you relating to your partner? How are you relating to your family, your kids? How are you consuming and treating your health and your fitness? How are you conducting yourself when it comes to finances? Like, now you got to be a little more intricate with the way you move. And so I think that that's why a lot of people reject the idea of balance, because it's much easier to just polarize and focus on one thing. But I think that has its limitations. It's not sustainable forever. Like I said, people bounce back, and then they want to get, after they get the success, then they want to come back and be into meditation and organic and conscious living and lifestyle. But it's like, yeah, it took you to get there to figure the same thing out at some point. So it's like, how can we organize our life in a way that we're already accounting for all this? Account for your relationships, account for your finance. And this is what, to me, living a conscious, balanced life is. And this is the reason why I've taken the approach that I have when it comes to like the three worlds, making sure that I'm not being naive and polarizing on just one thing. Like, hey, I love nature, and I think that that's the fundamental source of what everything originates. But at the same time, I understand the current world that we live in. So I'm not going to be ignorant of the fact that technology has, taken a chokehold on our attention, that technology has also had many implications on the human species, that we're able to connect and you can hear my voice and it's being translated through digital codes that then come out a device that you're holding on the other side of the world. I'm not ignorant to that fact. So it's like, how can I incorporate all these things into my life in a way that feels an alignment to who I am and what my values are? And this is where I think a lot of people go left. They say it's either nature and fuck everything else, but that's just because they've lived so polarized. Like, if you lived in a city, in a suburb, never connected to nature, never knew how to grow food, never hunted, never had a relationship with the land, of course, the moment that you hear about nature, it's like a breath of fresh air. But that's not because that's all you should be focused on. It's because it's all you haven't been focused on. So it's like you pendulum swing from complete unconsciousness of the natural world, of any relationship to the natural world, to just wanting to escape, right? And this is where people go like, oh, I'm trying to escape. I need to go retreat. I need to go live off grid. I need to get away from the system. And that's amazing, right? That's great. And those are lofty goals to have. But then you get to another realization where it's like, wait a minute, like, this isn't fully who I am, because part of who I am is civilization. I was born into that shit. I was born in the heart of the beast. I was raised in a lot of my understanding, my upbringing, and my awareness of reality comes from that. So if I like separate completely, I'm being dishonest with who I am, because I wasn't born in the natural environment. Even though I'm moving towards that, it's like you're denying a part of your identity. So it's like, now it's coming back, and how do you integrate everything in a way that is authentic to who you are, right? And that's kind of the theme with balance for me personally, is like, I love nature, but I also love technology because I'm a byproduct of technology. I wasn't born in a indigenous tribe that never had any electricity or technology. So it would be a lie for me to say that I don't have a relationship with the technological world or the internet world, or that I haven't got value from it, or that I don't know how to utilize it, or that I don't see its value in it. So it's like, this honesty comes up. We're breaking the spell of like the idea and the idealization of nature blocks us from just being honest, from just being honest with ourselves, because we want to tell ourselves, hey, you just get back to nature. I'm not saying nature isn't amazing and isn't the source of everything, but what I'm getting at is that we idealize and romanticize certain concepts to the point where we're not even aware of who we truly are in this lifetime, in this current era, right? Like, all of us are on a device right now, and we have to realize that this is part of who we are, and it will always be part of who we are. You will never be able to undo the fact that you were born into this era and have a relationship with technology. You can try to go off into the jungle, go off into the forest. That's fine, but that's always going to live within your awareness of your psyche. And as long as civilization and technology stands, it'll always be here for you to have a relationship with. So it's like, this is the earth that we live on simultaneously. And so how do you integrate the internet world, civilization, and the natural world? And that's all my journey has been about, is finding balance between these three worlds, and everything that exists within that. So within that is relationships, within that is food acquisition, sovereignty, finances, economy, all these topics that are important to the human experience at this current moment in time are all nested within these three worlds, right? You don't really have, you have
Interested in a great read? Check out Greatness is a Habit authored by Aaron Dixon, also known as True. Many of you know him as True. He has authored this amazing read. The book is available on Apple Books. Get your copy today and stay motivated to win.
Are all nested within these three worlds, right? You don't really have, I mean, you have some sense of economy in all three worlds. You have an economy in the natural world. We're doing trading. We could be trading food. We could be trading goods, but we could also be doing online sales and e-commerce, right? Or you could have a store shop in civilization. So it's like these things exist in all three worlds. And the point isn't to escape the matrix, as people call it, but it's to realize that you're out of alignment with yourself. Like the reason you're trying to leave and go to nature and escape the system is because you're out of alignment with who you fundamentally are. And so you think that, and you might need that. You might need to get away to give yourself a buffer of room to reflect on who you truly are, for you to get enough insight about who you truly are, so that then you can come back later and be able to be at peace in any world. Like I want to be able to walk into civilization like this. I take calls for people that I want to work with me like this, because why? Why do I do that? Because it's who I am. To me, it feels more dishonest if I was to put on a shirt to get on this call, because this is how I live. So it's like, but people think that I take off a shirt to get on a video because they don't understand that this is how I show up in my day-to-day life. So then I like impose that onto business, and I say like, can I show up like this in a business call? And sure, people are going to be like, what the fuck? Like, is this guy really not wearing a shirt or whatever? But I'm just being honest, right? And you also at some level have to be willing to.
I ain't even finna hold y'all, but if I saw Rambo, aka Wild Quetzal, show up, no shirt, with his wrap on, at a meeting, whether it's virtual or in person, that'll probably take me all the way out, y'all. I'd be distracted the entire meeting trying to figure out why this person is not dressed appropriately for the occasion.
So you also at some level have to be willing to be looked at a certain way, right? Because not everybody's going to understand, but it's just what I've decided for myself, you know, and that's how I find balance within myself, by continuing to be honest and transparent about who I am, no matter where I show up. If I show up to a call like this, I'm okay with that, because I'm doing commerce, I'm doing business on my terms, with my values, with my principles. And so that feels like a sustainable approach for me, not to escape it completely, which was what I used to think. I used to think that was the solution, right? Get out of the system, whatever. There's always going to be a system, right? Humans are a system. Societies are systems. If you go to an indigenous tribe right now, there's going to be some sort of structure. And so you might not like the structure of civilization, that's fine. But anytime you interact with humans, there's going to be a structure, whether it's a chief and some council that makes decisions, or the elders. There's going to be, or we eat this way, the men do this, the women do that. And there's always going to be some sort of structure, because this is just human nature. So if you don't like society because it has structure, you're not going to ever escape that, even if you're off in the jungle, because structure is just going to allow any society to exist. And societies don't have to exist in civilization. They can exist in nature. But even those tribal societies have structure. So it's like, you can't run away from these things, because they're a part of human nature. And so like the journey turns into trying to get away from this thing, to realizing it was all there to begin with, like human nature and who you are. And all these things are right there with you right now. You might need to have an experience and get away to understand that. But at the end of the day, when you come around to it, you're going to have the realization, like, you couldn't run away. It was always there. It's always been who we are, who we will be. It's human nature, you know. And somebody asked me like, what's the glue, or that kind of what's the thing that holds everything that you talk about together? And that was my answer. It was like, it's just human nature, the human experience, understanding this, what we're experiencing right now, like the thoughts, the language, the programming, the culture, the behaviors, like understanding this, and then forging or using that information to forge a life that you love, a life that you feel really good about, a life that is the life that you want to live, you know. And I heard the definition the other day. I don't know what the dude's name is, but he was interviewing Elon, I think, and he was given the definition for intelligence. You know, people say intelligence is this, intelligence is that, but his definition was intelligence is the ability to live the life that you want to live. And I was thinking about that, and I thought that that was pretty insightful, or at least a new perspective on intelligence, because people will say like, oh, intelligent people are the most depressed because they know so much information, right? But he was presenting it like, no, that's a cop-out. Yeah, you're just trying to kind of put yourself in this position of like, you're so smart that you're sad because you just know so fucking much. And he was saying like, no, if you were truly intelligent, you would be able to solve this problem of sadness, of depression, unless that's what you wanted to experience out of life, in which case, fine, experience that. But if you do not want to experience depression, if you do not want to experience sadness, if you have intellect, you can formulate a solution to solve that problem, you know. And I thought that was interesting, you know, because even if your issue requires courage or requires something else, you can formulate a solution that doesn't require you to actually have to be on the front lines. Like, for instance, people developing like atomic bombs, developing military grade weapons that they use in war aren't on the front lines, but they have the intellect to create something that can deliver that much damage and impact on other people, right? So you can use intellect to formulate a response to bypass qualities that you might not have, like courage or bravery, but with intellect, you can still solve that solution. So I was thinking about this. Are you living your ideal life? And then ask yourself, why not? And think about, do you have the intellectual capacity to figure out how to live your ideal life? And do you have the intellectual capacity to navigate around the things that are challenging you from living your ideal life? So whether that's putting yourself out there, hey, maybe your ideal life stands over the line of you sharing content, but you say, oh, I don't know, I care too much about what people think, I don't want to put myself out there. Okay, cool. What if you formulate content that doesn't require your face? So now you're being strategic, right? Now you're saying like, you're still coming to the same solution, or you're still solving the same problem, but you're just using your intellect to formulate a solution. So there's no excuse to your skills or abilities as long as you have the intellect to solve the problem. Anyways, long tangent. I know I'm just kind of going off today, but yeah, I haven't been with you guys in a minute, so it's a lot of stuff to share that's happened in my mind, my thoughts, and you guys are just my reflections. And so it's a lot of stuff to share that's happened in my mind, my thoughts, and you guys are just my reflections.
I ain't even finna hold y'all, but as soon as he said, y'all are my reflections, I was like, hold up. I was side-eyeing Rambo, a.k.a. Wild Quetzal, for a second. But then I remembered what Gaia, the earth goddess, said. She basically, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember word for word, but she said something to the effect of like, you know, a lot of the words that they used in the cult are spirituality driven words. And Eligio Bishop, aka Nature Boy, aka Chief Hopper John Hot Pocket, aka Chief Administrative Segregation, while he used those words, they're not exclusively owned by him and or by the cult. So hearing an ex-member say reflections, you know, it's just they still on a spiritual journey. May not be with him, definitely not in the cult, but they're still on their spiritual journey. So I removed my side eye, y'all. I hope you're happy, Gaia. You changed my perspective.
You guys are just my reflections, that my mirror that I can just bounce my thoughts off. And I'm also challenging myself right now to do things that confront me with people might say some shit about me. So learning to not give a fuck about what people say, because I find that in myself, that is something that inhibits me from expressing myself or being in my authenticity fully. There's nothing wrong with caring about what people say, because you want feedback, right? You want feedback from people around you. You want feedback from your community, from your partner. If something's going on and you're not in right relationship with them, I think that it's perfectly fine to care that enough to want to know what's going on, right? But if you care so much about what people think to the point where you're not sharing your mind, sharing your thoughts, and aren't able to express yourself authentically, that's when it becomes an issue. So, what the fuck is going on with your voice if you're doing that on purpose? That's genius. What are you talking about? I'm not doing anything with my voice. I am talking with my voice, but I don't know what you're referring to. Yeah, so this is me coming on, facing some sort of anxiety around like caring what people think. Like, maybe you won't share a post because you care what people think. Maybe you won't share your thoughts because you care what people think. Maybe you're scared to share a certain perspective on something. But, I find that could be a blockage for a lot of people. I work in the Wild Brotherhood, and when we get on our calls, a lot of it is like a lot of guys want to make content, and they want to share things with the world, but it's like a lot of it is like they're just getting started. It's like literally just putting on the camera and recording it and then hitting publish or hitting post, and it's like people are doing that shit every single day, like millions of videos probably being uploaded. But it's just interesting that people still struggle with that because many factors. I mean, maybe people they don't like how they look, but I think at some level it all comes down to like people are watching and they're gonna say something, and it's like they might say something negative, or they could say something positive, right? But our minds don't really focus on that. So I think the more you kind of get into that and challenge yourself and just put it out there, the more you kind of flex that muscle of being okay with putting yourself out there, Even like live, I think is like the highest version of that, because it's like you're in real time sharing your thoughts. People are commenting. Some people are being supportive. Thank you. Like you guys are saying, appreciate that. And then there's also people like saying other stuff that might come in and might not say something positive, but like that's the balance. That's the balance of it all. If I'm only wanted positive praise, I will be out of tune, out of alignment with existence. I would only, like, if you only like the love and the light, but you don't acknowledge the shadows and all those other emotions that we feel, you're not balanced. And it doesn't mean that you have to like embody these emotions or even perpetuate them. But regardless, you're still going to experience them. Like, name one person who thinks love and light who doesn't at some point or won't at some point experience a negative emotion. Like, it's part of the human experience, and people don't want to focus on it because they don't like the way it feels. But you still have to experience it. So when those moments come, this is something that is crucial.
All right, y'all, going ahead and drop me a comment, smash the heck out of that like button, and share. Thank you guys in advance.
Whenever you're growing and going through a situation, remember this. This is what growth feels like. So if you're trying to grow right now, maybe you're trying to respond differently to something in your life. Maybe you're with a partner and you've been having issues and you've been responding in a certain way and you're just used to responding that way, but you know it's kind of bringing turmoil with you and your partner. When you're confronted with that again, tell yourself this, right? So you had the situation and now you're getting ready to respond, but you want to respond differently. But there's that feeling of like that ego or that program that just wants to respond volatilely or toxic, however you want to word it. You just want to respond in a negative way that you know is going to end up actually getting you the opposite of the result you're looking for. Sit with that feeling and remember and tell yourself, this is what growth feels like. This is normal and this is good because I'm feeling this emotion that's letting me know, is giving me a signal that I'm confronting and at the frontier of change. Because if I wasn't, then I wouldn't be feeling it. But that's normal. We all feel that. When we're presented with a new response, we're going to feel that turbulence, that contrast, you know? And so if we can just be present to that, we could realize that that's part of the process. So once you know it's part of the process, you don't have to fight it. You don't have to fight the feeling and experience the resistance. You can just be at peace with it and experience it like, damn, okay. And then you tell yourself, okay, I want this result. So I want to respond this way. That's my instinct and my intuition and based on the patterns that I've exhibited. But I want a result other than what that would generate. So how do I need to respond to get the result I actually want? So it just becomes almost like you're bringing like logic to the emotion, but you're still feeling the emotion. You're just analyzing and being present with it long enough so that you can use your intellect to formulate a response that'll give you the result you want. Back to the intelligence. So if you have the intelligence and the awareness, you can literally craft your life a certain way. So it's like you're choosing a different outcome now because you're conscious of it. And so this is what growth feels like, is the mantra for when you're in it, when you're in the middle of that tough situation, in the middle of maybe wanting to respond to somebody or to something in a negative, volatile way. Pause for a second, be conscious, and tell yourself this is what growth feels like. And I know that because I said this, I'm probably inviting a situation in my life soon that will allow me to practice what I'm preaching, because this is usually how these things go. I notice if you want to grow, put some shit out on the internet or tell somebody or talk about something like you know what you're talking about. Watch that day or the next day or soon, you will be confronted with that thing and you're going to be like, well, I was talking about this shit like I knew what I was talking about, so I guess it's time to practice it. I just noticed that pattern in my life. So it's like, maybe if you want to grow, go online and tell people how to grow, because then the universe will give you opportunities for you to grow. Because that's what you said you wanted, right? You said you wanted to grow. Oh, okay. Oh, you don't want to grow. Oh, you do? Okay, well, here you go. Here's an opportunity. Oh, you don't like the way that feels? But I thought you said you wanted to grow. Like, this is the process. This is what growth feels like. Oh, you wanted to feel a different way. That's not growth. So, 2 cents. Just some thoughts. Balance. How many letters is balance? 3, 5, 6, 7. 7-letter word that everybody has a different interpretation of. And I get it, you know. Is balance a 70-30 or is it 50-50? Is it this or is it this? Is it what adds to 100 or is it evenly distributed? Like, what's your concept of balance? Because we all got our own definition. But for me, balance is, like we talked about, the acceptance of the all. There's a video on the internet with Bob Ross, the painter guy, and he's painting a landscape, and he's talking about basically like, oh, life has its ups and downs. Yeah, right. He's like, right now I'm going through a rough patch, but it's okay because I know I'm gonna overcome it, or something like that. And then the caption said like that episode was filmed like right after his wife had passed away. And I thought that was interesting because kind of what I'm alluding to, like when you understand that there's darkness and there's light, it doesn't mean that you don't experience it. It doesn't mean that you don't go through it. It just means that you don't identify and get stuck in it. You have the understanding, and that's kind of what allows you to persevere in the darkness and allows you to also enjoy the light, because you know that these cycles come and go, and that you might be experiencing this right now, but there's going to be a point where you won't be experiencing that unless you hold on to it and you make it a part of your identity and you make existence be nothing but that, because you choose to focus on that so heavily that you fail to see the balance of everything. So you get polarized just to one side, and then you struggle making sense of reality. Oh, I thought everything was supposed to be love and light, but there's war going on. Like, what the fuck? Like, this isn't right. Like, this isn't just. Or you go the other way, like, everything's just dark. There's no goodness in the world. You just become like a cynic, right? You just become like just somebody who has no hope, right? But when you understand both, you can experience situations that make you feel good and situations that also challenge you, and you don't have to attach yourself to that. You can just flow through them and be at peace, knowing that it's transitory and that this is life. This is what darkness feels like. This is what light feels like whenever something good is happening, right? Yeah, it's like this is the way things are supposed to be. You know, I think that that's the greater thing beyond like, oh, this is what growth feels like. It's just, you can say that about anything. This is what a conversation feels like. This is what me being on live feels like. This is what me typing a comment feels like. It's like just awareness. So you just start to become aware of things, and you stop idealizing like things should be this way or supposed to be this way, and just accept that this is the way things are. There's nothing wrong with reality. There's nothing wrong with humanity. There's nothing wrong with nothing. It's just, this is the way it's supposed to feel. And this is the experience that we came here to have. And enjoy it. Enjoy the experience, or don't. But it's up to you. Like, which experience do you want to have? Do you want to be in constant battle with life and existence, or do you want to be at peace with life and existence? Or do you want to cycle between those two? Maybe one day you're at peace, maybe one day you're at war. But I think ultimately, if you accept, then you'll just be in the flow of all of it. You'll be in the flow of everything. You'll be able to navigate whatever situation, right? So you'll be just enjoying it, because if you can navigate whatever comes your way, you can have fun with it ultimately. Even when it's not fun, it's still part of the process. And you just understanding that allows you to navigate it better. Even if you're not the most optimistic person, if you can see it that way, well, now you can have a better sense of direction and navigation in your life. And I think ultimately that is something that I personally, I don't want to project onto you, but I personally value, is having a sense of competence in my life. Competent about the negative situations, but also competent about the positive, like being able to enjoy life, right? Being able to have fun, express, joke, laugh, and enjoy time with others, but also being able to really focus during the challenging times and navigate those situations too. I think they're both important. Hey, what up, Alan? Hey, brother, hope you're doing well. I was going to reach out to you. Yeah, man, hope everything's good. Well, yeah, man, balance is the most solid philosophy that I've encountered in my understanding, and it's the one that has brought me the most value. And so, yeah, man, I hope you guys got something out of that. And yeah, if you if you are struggling with the concept of balance, maybe I gave you like a new perspective on it and a new way to see it and integrate it into your life in a way that feels authentic and ultimately enhancing to you, your life, and the experience that you're having. Kestagram said, in my country, cows believed to be God, but I'm in Canada now and everything is beef. So what would you suggest? I mean, my question is like, what do you, is that your belief? You said in your country. Well, what about you? Is that something you're in alignment with? Or is that just something that you feel is part of your identity because of where you grew up? So sounds like that's more of a identity question for yourself, because yeah. So I mean, if you don't feel that way, I mean, I would experiment and partake in whatever you're being called to partake in, because yeah, culture is malleable, it's changing, it's created, it's forms, it's adaptive. You know, some cultures do this, some cultures do that, and I just think I believe that, you know, we have the ability to just change our mind, transform, even from the environments that we were born into, if that's the experience you came here to have, you know. And so yeah, man, I don't think about things in that, like, I came from a culture that does this, and I'm probably doing a bunch of other shit that culture doesn't condone or believe in, but it's my path, and it's what I came here to do. Hey, love being. Yeah, I'm gonna get off. But if you want to message me, or maybe we could do it some other time. I gotta go, but appreciate you guys for coming on. It was good talking. Thank you for listening to my crazy thoughts and rants. Yeah, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night wherever you guys are. All right, and as always, stay balanced.
I'ma get no be so. Girl, you won't capture my soul. I'ma get no be so. Make we one bolombo. Better bye. Better bye. I'm loose. Even better done the para. Tonight in Josie, I'm in Josie. Won't call it for one Josie. I'm not playing with you, I'm not joking. My thought of mom is loaded. Me, you can fight, go, but I'm on molly. I'm on duty, but I'm on low-key. They want do me, they want do me, cause they want. When you won't want me, I'm in San Francisco.